Welcome to video number 10, and this is part 2 of the anatomy of nothingness. I think I'll call this one the creation of the impossible. Again, this is philosophy of the Greys, if various Grey types, council or federation, if you will, whatever. There's many different types of them, moving into the insectoid, moving into the reptilian, the three more or less being one and the same, just different beings from different worlds, but all the worlds being more or less interconnected. Alright, so it's the closest to what they would define as a god or a creator of all. So this is part 2 again. Now we have, I just channeled this part. It was the spatial amass builds the vortex. So again, we have the spaces in between matter energy. In the billions of light years, the spatial becomes dense, forms into like a vortex. It's almost like a wall, an invisible wall, that the spatial becomes heavy upon itself with gravity, like in allegorical terms. And space builds gravity. So the curving, again from here, the curving curls in on itself to build gravity. Now this is all kind of like an allegory of the creation of the universe and how the spatial went on to dictate all of the forces of the physics thereafter. It's kind of like at the beginning of the universe there was a special mathematical code that controls all forms of physics, but in this case it is a spatial form that is the mathematical code, that universal code. So again, we see the vortex here and the spatial amass, and here we have the demonstration of distance builds dimension. So the greater the distance, whether it be in trillions of light years, what have you, that distance builds dimension. Okay, as the infinity confines within itself spatially, and fields are folds, become folds of infinity, folding in. All right, another quick look at the second one of the other diagrams. And here we again see the two curvatures that work within the vortex, creating the crest as one curvature and a trough as a second form of curvature. So one's going up and one's coming down. There's a curvature at the end of the EMF spectrum and one at the beginning. And they are the forces that squeeze space to create the waves in the first place. So that's what the crest and trough comes from. The two curvatures of the EMF spectrum, you get the broadband radio and the micro at the infinitesimal of the gamma. Distance builds dimension with spatial amass that creates energy. And again, this chart is measured in the billions of light years. Okay, fields are folds of the infinitesimal and the infinite, these two forces together. So here we have distance times dimension then equals intelligence. So here we have the amass of the intelligence that returns back and begins the creation processes. It enters the center of the creation processes, the center of mitosis, which causes the divisions, the vacuum sealed molecule form, the pole in the center of the caduceus of the two snakes. And again, we have the forces coming in and putting in the blocks. Of course, that's the extreme simple form of it, but it's intelligent energy, intelligent collective energy that is building these things, building us. So again, as time and space moves on, the spaces between, we have the A mass of spatial density and contraction. Now we have, as we continue on with the chart moving closer and closer to the higher forms, again we have distance builds dimension with A mass. And then you have things like superstrings and entanglement, which it's explained to me that these are molecular entanglement, quantum molecular entanglement. So entanglement and superstrings are made of the spatial dark matter, dark energy in bubbles. They're like bubbles, like chains of bubbles. Think of them as big long chains within the quantum, as bubbles of spatial dark matter, dark energy. All right, let's move on to this chart here. And we've seen this already at the beginning, but we're going to do it again. And so we have in the billions of light years, the vacuum genesis, spatial expansion that was the Big Bang that grew out of the spatial contraction. These are the spaces of growth, again, pretty much showing the same thing, the curls of the creation that led to the creation of matter and energy. Space gravitates with distance. So we start from the very small atom at the very infinitesimal here. Multifolding space. Space gravitates with distance and continues on to create super things like galaxies and clusters of galaxies, all moving within the vortex. And again, we have the trough and crest EMF wave. And the wave itself is created again by one curvature at the one end in allegorical terms, and the second curvature at the other end. And the two are interacting, pushing these two together like that, pushing them. And that's what creates the waves, the actual waves. And here we have the atoms going from the most simplest forms of atoms from the lower quantum worlds into the far more complex and greater more complexity of molecules. So we have mass energy grows and builds with added vortices, because the cosmic Gaia, the vortex, is made up of googles of vortices, as is the human body. The seven most greatest known ones is the chakras. Now, this polar curvature friction grows into space. So we spoke of that friction where the two curvatures interfere with each other and produce energy. That was a video a while back. All right, so we're almost done here with this part of, oops, I'm backwards here. Okay, so yeah, we have energy again seen as ergs divided by the grams of so all of this that I've just said, everything I've just said in this video and the past videos, can be reversed in the opposite way. So the A mass of the spatial forces can move into the minute or the infinitesimal. So it's the singularity again. Once again, we have the singularity form. All right, all places, all space and time, all that is space and time, condensed into the singularity points. And it's these singularity points that matter can reach at what's known as the 0 point. The 0 point is when the atom or the particle wave reaches a point of absolute zero motion. It's at that point that it reaches the singularity and becomes, at that instant, the whole entire universe. At that instant, when it reaches absolute point of rest. And all of these kinds of things have been known by the ancients for thousands and thousands of years, just not in this complex form. So that's pretty much it for today. This is part 2 of a 2-part series, more or less dealing with these things. It's representative of the 3 veils of the Kabbalah. There's In, Insuf, and Insufur. These are the 3 different invisible forms of nothingness that encompass the Kabbalah, the tree of life, the Sephiroth. All right, so you got distance builds dimensions with spatial A mass, creating mass to mass. And it goes up, and it can come reverse back down into the infinitesimal. All right, thank you very much again. As I guess I should say, as with all my videos, please take as theory and conjecture and hypothesis. And, channeling is a subjective experience. And these are the philosophies of, more or less, when it comes to the spatial aspects, it's of the Greys. It's what they believe is the creation force, the God, if you will. All right, thank you very much, and we shall see you in the next one. Thank you.